and Wales. Mostly fine, dry and hot for southeastern, central and eastern England, with thunderstorms possible later. From Global's newsroom for LBC, I'm Eleanor Noakes.
The kids can use it at the same time, so there's no fighting over who's hogging the internet. I can
upload all the selfies I take in seconds. BT Infinity
gets a big thumbs up from where I'm standing when I
video call my gran. She tells me about her
bodybuilding videos, which I can download faster than I can say squats. I upload pictures of me on a
girls' night out.
BT Infinity is fantastic. It makes the web much better. When I video call Isla, it's like she's in the room with me. No wonder
9 out of 10 customers would recommend BT Infinity to friends and family.
62% UK coverage. Check bt.com/join. Subject to availability. Online survey April 2014 of 510 Infinity customers.
I'm Adam McEwan, the LBC Travel Centre, and the train's disruption and cancellations remain after lightning struck a number of signals earlier this morning. Now, the line between Liverpool Street and Stansted is open again after a tree fell and damaged the overhead power lines earlier this morning. Widespread delays and cancellations, though. Colchester to Liverpool Street, you're being advised not to travel with signal failures at Romford, Liverpool Street, and issues with level crossing as well at Ingatstone, and delays of up to an hour. At London St Pancras, 20 minutes extra on your journey after signal problems, and similar issues at Paddington on services going through Southall. The M40 still shut going north in Buckinghamshire between junctions 2 and 3. That's Beaconsfield and Loudwater after a car overturned earlier on. Queues are still back to the M25. You have to follow the Hollow Square signs. The A3 northbound at Guildford, still looking at delays up from Compton after an accident earlier. Esbourne in West Sussex, the A272 is shut at Wheelbarrow Castle after an accident. And the M6 in Staffordshire, a lane blocked going north at junction 10A, the M54. That was after an accident and a diesel spill. Delay still backing from 9 at Wednesbury. Keep moving. Next travel update is in 15 minutes.
LBC Travel
with Go-To Meeting, pointing you to a better work-life balance.
This is LBC, leading Britain's conversation, with Nick Ferrari at breakfast. Call 0345 6060 973. Tweet at LBC. Text 84850. Nick Ferrari at breakfast on LBC.
5 minutes after 9 on Friday, July the 18th. Good morning to you. As I'm speaking, Vladimir Putin has appeared some form of message coming out from the Kremlin, or what Putin is saying. We will bring you that a little bit later in the hour, and we will also return to that controversial subject being debated later today in the House of Lords, the assisted dying bill. But let's move on to, as we've said, a radio first and exclusive here on LBC. It's my pleasure to welcome to the studio Ross McEwan, who's Chief Executive of RBS, and it's only recently that we haven't really seen those words, troubled bank RBS. Those words do seem to vanish as Mr. McEwan and his team try and get the bank back on track. Ross McEwan is, as say, in the studio with me. Mr. McEwan, you're a man who likes a challenge.
Good morning. I certainly like a challenge, and we've got one here. But underneath all of this, there is a fantastic bank that we just need to get much better for customers.
How are you going to get out from under the sort of coverage that you've endured and let your customers and let the world know what you're telling me is a great bank inside?
Yeah, look, we've got some great businesses sitting underneath the RBS banner. We just need to focus all of those businesses on the customer and their needs. And unfortunately, that's something since I've been up here a couple of years, looking at the banking sector, we've got a lot to do in this marketplace, but we can do it.
It's important to say, before people start hurling abuse at you, you relatively recently arrived in this job. When did you take it up, Mr. McEwan?
I took the job up about 10 months ago, so relatively new, and it's been
when you
great
were in Australia, you were running a big successful bank down in Oz.
Yes, I was looking after the retail bank for Commonwealth Bank.
Had you been on the Shiraz when they phoned you or something? What on earth made you say yes?
It's a desire for a challenge, I'd say, and but also, look, when I looked at it, I thought they've got some fantastic brands. We've got positions in this marketplace that we can turn this back into one very, very good bank for the British public.
How long?
I think we've got another 2-3 years of very hard work, but it's started, and I think that's important for people to understand. It has started, lots to do though. And
will we get our money back? 46 billion quid.
My job is to create you a really good bank, so you've got a good chance of doing that.
So you reckon we'll get it all back?
I didn't say that, but I'll tell you what, we're on path to making a good bank for you. And by having a good bank, you'll get a good price for it. And that's the objective. But the price will be what the market will pay.
Headphones are on, Mr. McEwan. Perhaps put on your battle jacket. We're off. Sarah in Cobham, you're through to the boss of RBS. Go ahead, Sarah. Good morning.
Hi, Nick. Yeah, I just wanted to find out from Ross McEwan whether bonuses will be paid to all divisions within the RBS group, including the global restructuring group. This is considering the huge financial harm this division in particular has caused to so many SMEs. I work for a small property company who have had to repay who have in the past repaid millions on loans with RBS. They've never defaulted on any loans at all, yet they were sent to GRG with the intention, and I know that it was the intention of putting the company into administration. So their property assets were, about to be put into the RBS West Register, and they were forced to pay considerable amount of fees by forcing valuations that were manipulated by RBS's preferred valuers. And I just wanted to know how, after so much harm caused, and it's emotional and financial harm that they've caused, how on earth morally they would be able to allow to get bonuses, be paid for this.
Let's hear from Mr. McEwan.
Yeah, first off, it is a hugely emotional issue. I understand when their businesses start to have difficulty, and we have to step in and help out in any shape or form. I just understand that. We've had a number of criticisms around GRG. We've done had our own independent review, and the Financial Conduct Authority are also doing a review at the moment. I'm very happy if you've got an individual case that you want me to look at. I'll give you the email address. Very happy to pick it up.
But
we're
doing
a lot of work.
Yeah. You're saying you're doing a lot of work just to finish off that point.
Well, the actual review came through because it was one of those things that really hits at the heart of a bank, which is around trust, and that's what Sarah's talking about there, trusting the bank to do the right thing. And our independent report showed that this is a pretty good unit. It was under huge pressure because the number of cases coming in there went up about 8 to 10 times within a 3-month period of time when the financial crisis hit. And it'd be fair to say we lent out money that we should never have lent out to people we should have probably said no to when we were trying to grow this bank stupidly over a 5 to 10 year period. And I think we did some damage. That's very clear. I have not seen, though, malicious, fraudulent activity going on in this part of the business, and that's why we did our independent review report on it. But I'm happy to pick up Sarah's case.
Sarah, stay on the line, talk to one of my team, and then we can put it across to Mr. McEwan or one of his assistants, and they can take care of that aspect of it. Thank you. Terry's in Chelmsford. You're on the radio, Terry.
Yes, that's right, yeah.
Yeah, Terry, go ahead. Your question.
Yes, my question is, why is it that 6 years after the crash, the former directors of RBS, who had statutory duties in their stewardship of the bank, have not yet been held to account for their negligence, possibly even criminal negligence, in their taking the bank to the brink of bankruptcy? It seems to me that if you're a director, you do have certain responsibilities, and so far all I've seen is directors ducking and diving. They do need to be held into account. And Mr. McEwan spoke about rebuilding the relationship with customers. I think one of the first things the bank needs to do, or more probably the authorities, is to make sure that justice is meted out in the right and proper way.
Yeah, look, Terry, I know, again, this is hugely emotional for what happened to this bank. It had to be saved by the public of the UK, not just because of the bank, because of how important it is to the whole financial position of the UK and businesses. It's really up for the authorities if they think people have done things that are illegal to actually take them up. Those people are no longer with our bank. We've got a completely new board. You've got 99% of the executive team is different, new people going forward. I've got to tell you, my focus is on the go forward for this bank, because that's where the value is, and how do we recreate a really good bank here.
Just coming back to the idea of bonuses, I'll bring Terry back in a second. We talked in the first question. Broadly speaking, do you support the idea of bonuses?
I support the idea of incentive payment for where people are focused on doing good things for customers and the overall bank, and they have to connect. You can't have one without the other. Where you'll get more actual results out of that. Where you don't, you shouldn't be paying them.
Do you get a bonus?
For 2 years, no, I don't. I actually said I'd rather focus on getting this business going, and I gave mine up for the first 2 years in the job, so that we can just get focused on getting this bank moving again and doing the right things by our staff and our customers again, and take that away.
And picking up on Terry's point, and you acknowledged this twice, Mr. Kuhn, to your credit, but there's considerable anger towards Fred Goulburn and others, and also the fact that taxpayers have paid almost £500,000 in legal fees. Now, I know this isn't down to the RBS, but it is the hostility that continues to surround your brand, is it not?
Oh, look, it is. And, you know, that's going to be another thing that comes up next year in court when the 2008 share issue comes up and has a day, and it'll be, again, something we have to deal with publicly while our people just get on and do good things for the customers. But I can't just get distracted by this stuff. I've got to create the bank for the future, which is a really good bank for customers, and that's where I need to spend 95 to 99% of my time.
Before it went made stupid decisions, you called them, can you get it back to where it was?
I don't want to get it back to where it was.
No, prior to making those decisions?
Yeah, we can, because we've got great people, we've got very good brands, we've got actually good product sets, and we just need to focus that back on what's really important, which is the people and the customers of our bank. So, not trying to grow for the sake of just share growth.
So to that end, would you ever split, say, commercial from investment banking?
Well, we've done that in the sense of having a look at how I've shaped their business today. We've gone from 7 businesses to 3. We've got a big personal and small business bank because they fit together. They're usually the same customer groupings. We've got a mid-sized corporate and our private bank together, and our large corporate and institutional bank is also separate as well. So effectively, we've done that.
Pius is in Chingford. Pius, you're on the radio. Go ahead.
Hi, Ross. My question is, in the light of recent banking scandals in the last 2 years regarding rate rigging, interest rate swaps and loans to SME, what has the bank done to prevent the reoccurrence of such bad behaviour by the bankers? And in addition, does the bank think that it has dealt with all the historic bad behaviour and that those will not occur in future?
Paz, look, can I just go into the last one first? The answer is no. You know, I've got to be quite open and honest with you. No, we haven't. There are a number of litigation and conduct issues that we are still having to grapple with that will come out over the next 18 months. We've sort of got a very good handle on what those will be because they're sort of wandering through court or they've been very public, and we've been quite open about them, particularly with our investors. So I'm sorry they're not, but what we're doing is creating a bank that doesn't create those things going forward. And that's important. Otherwise, you just keep rolling on for the next scandal or problem. So we've been dealing with a whole raft of issues that will make it a better bank. And I've just announced some of those recently, like some of the behaviours around giving a new customer a better deal than an existing customer. I just find that abhorrent in the marketplace. And it's rampant here in the British banking arena. Same with these things.
This is the Newbies campaign, I think, that I see when I go into the bank. Why do the newbies get the best deals?
Why do you give a new customer a better deal than an existing customer? Somebody who's done 30 years of customer, why would they get a worse deal than somebody who walked in today? I just find that abhorrent. And we've gone through some of these things and said that's just unacceptable. Same with giving people a credit card with a zero. If you move your other balances across, you know what's going to happen at the end of that 12 or 18-month period of time. They'll get stuck on it, and then they'll be paying 18 to 20%. I mean, when do we stop doing this stuff? That's what we've determined to stop in our bank. Get back to good banking, the way it used to be 20-odd years ago, when actually we also said no to people when we thought they were getting into too much debt. That would be a new thing.
The market, there seems to be a sense, Mr. McEwan, that the foreign exchange fixing by banks could be a more expensive scandal than LIBOR or PPI. Do you think that might be right?
Look, it has the hallmarks. Unfortunately, it has the hallmarks. We're still doing a lot of investigation. We're going through just millions and millions of emails, chat rooms, conversations to see what actually went wrong, if anything, in this area here. And unfortunately, I have the feeling that it is a sort of a LIBOR case again that we're getting on top. The difference this time is that we haven't sat back and denied it. We've got into it and doing the investigation hand in hand with the authorities. And again, I'd like to see it cleaned up as quickly as we can so that we get these things that Price was talking about, the things of the past moving forward. We need a better bank.
It could be bigger.
I don't know, to be honest, at this stage. It's not a small one.
All righty. More calls to Ross McEwan in just a second. Travel follows this.
Nick Ferrari at breakfast on LBC.
With Hampton by Hilton. From a great night's sleep to the perfect hearty breakfast.
Oh, time to get up. It's going to be a great day. So why not kick your morning off with Actimel as part of breakfast? Actimel is crammed with tasty ingredients, like yoghurt with L-Casei live cultures, delicious fruit puree, and also vitamins D and B6, which help support the normal function of the immune system. So why not start your day with Actimel? CPAC for full ingredients.
It's not hard to overload an electrical socket. You just attach too many appliances to one extension lead, especially high-powered ones, like heaters and hairdryers. The problem is, it's not so easy to put out the fire. Fire kills. You can prevent it.
If you run a business and you're near a computer, type the name of your company into Google now. Chances are everything you find will be good. But all it takes is one negative review and your reputation on any kind of digital and social media site can change just like that. Reputation.com can manage and improve your brand's image online to make sure potential customers find out about the good reputation you've worked so hard to build up. For a free report on your online reputation and to find out how we can help, visit Reputation.com.
Sitting at a desk for long hours in the wrong type of chair can be very hard on your back. But how do you choose the office chair that's right for you? Back2 is the answer. We offer a wide range of office chairs, sit-stand desks and professional no-obligation advice. Too busy? No problem. We'll carry out a workstation assessment in your office. Back2, open every day in Wigmore Street and online at back2.co.uk. Get back to business with Back2, the office chair experts.
I'm Andy McCall in the LBC Travel Centre. The train disruption and cancellations that can remain after lightning struck a number of signals earlier this morning. So the line between Liverpool Street and Stansted is open again after a tree fell and damaged the overhead power lines earlier. But there's still, as I say, widespread cancellations. Colchester to Liverpool Street, you're still being advised not to travel with signal problems at Romford, Liverpool Street, and issues with the level crossing barriers at Ingatstone and delays of up to an hour. At St Pancras, still about 20 minutes extra on your journey after signal problems earlier. And also at Paddington, disruption on services going through Southall. The M40 still shut going north, junctions 2 to 3, that's Beaconsfield and Loudwater, is out of vehicle overturn. The queue still back to the M25. You have to follow the hollow square signs. Queues on the M25 on the approaches to the Dartford crossing, clockwise from before junction 30 to A13, anti-clockwise almost back as far as junction 1B at Prince's Road. And in Staffordshire on the M6, still this lane closure going north at junction 10A, the M54 out an accident and a diesel spill, and delay still back to junction 9 at Wednesbury. Keeping you moving. Next travel updates is in 15 minutes.
LBC Travel.
With GoTo Meeting. Drive business meetings from home and forget about rush hour traffic.
When it comes to putting things off, Seth's your man. Isn't that right, Seth?
I'll get back to you on that.
At TalkTalk, we feel sorry for people like Seth. You see, our half-price broadband sale ends soon, so you've got to be quick to get our truly unlimited broadband from just £1.75 a month for 6 months, plus £15.95 line rental.
Oh, that sounds good.
It's the best broadband deal around, but it ends next Wednesday. So join now at talktalk.co.uk/quick. Got that, Seth? Seth?
Not now. I'm online to TalkTalk.
Good man. Contract and conditions apply. Compared to BT, Sky and Virgin standard broadband prices.
Teach me a smarter way to invest. I know all the dumb ones.
Teach me a safer way to achieve my dreams and pay off my bills this year.
Teach me how to give myself a raise instead of waiting for my boss to give me one.
If you are worried about your retirement and are not generating the income you need, come and learn safer and smarter solutions to managing your money, your investments and your future at a free half-day class at the Online Trading Academy. Learn how to generate short-term income and long-term wealth at your own pace, on your own schedule, based on your goals. Register for your free half-day class. Call 0207 11 Teach. That's 0207 11 Teach. 0207 11 83224. If you call today, we will offer you a free home study course. Call 0207 11 Teach. That's 0207 11 Teach.
A house fire can take away a lifetime of memories in 2 minutes. About the time it takes to test all your smoke alarms. Fire kills. You can prevent it.
The Homebase Summer Sale is now on with great offers like buy one get a second half price on all Dulux and Weathershield paint and Cuprinol garden shades. Homebase, cheapest item half price.
Nick Ferrari at breakfast on LBC.
Let's get back to more of your calls to Ross McEwan, Chief Executive of the RBS. They used to say the troubled RBS, but he's telling us it's back on track, and there's a brilliant bank inside there. He's just got to get it out there and let you all know about it. Susan's in East Ham. You're through to the boss. Go ahead, Susan.
Hi, Susan. I'm Susan. Hi, Ross.
So that's a hell of a story. If this man's name is Susan, we've got a story that's on the front pages. But I've met him. He's definitely a bloke, no doubt about it. On you go, Susan.
Well, my question is to wanted to know your new strategy is all about putting customers first. Completely agree with that. So you're saying for all these number of years we've not put the customer first, and suddenly this is a revamp in the way the bank is conducting its business. But also, currently, do you consider your own employees to be customers? Because the way they're currently being treated in this new restructure, I don't think is actually putting them first as customers.
Yeah, look, I think for about 10 to 15 years, Susan, that the banks in general didn't put the customer as the number one thing that they focused on. I've got to tell you that. I think they put a lot of other things, particularly growth and expansion offshore and a whole raft of other things that meant that the local, particularly the UK market, did not get served well by banks here because of the focus on other things. I mean, you saw that with trying to drive revenues out of selling products like PPI, either to people who shouldn't have them or should have had a different product altogether. That was a focus on revenue, not on the customer need. That's what we need to get back to. Look, we are doing a lot of change in our business right now, a lot of change, and that is impacting our people. And our people have looked after this business for the last 5 years, particularly our staff at the front of our business and mid-ranking people. But I'm sorry, as I change this business, I've got too many staff. I've been quite open and honest about that, and we need to go through change. The thing I've said is treat them with dignity as we're going through that change, because in fact, in future, hopefully I can employ some of them back again, because they're good people. Really good people.
As you're putting the bank back on track, Mr. McEwan, you've had to sell some assets, companies such as Direct Line and others. Won't that make it longer for us to earn our money back?
Look, some of those were regulated through when the bank was saved. There were some things that were put in place that we had to divest. Part of that was Direct Line Group. Another one that we're trying to get out of the bank at the moment is the old Williams and Glyn brand, about 300 odd branches. Some of those were dictated that we had to get them out to create more competition in the marketplace, which is fine. In a way, some of those helped us with our rebuilding our capital, which is what we need to grow this bank again. So Direct Line Group, that money came back into us as a bank at a time when we did need it to replenish our own coffers to get us in a much more stable financial position. But there are some assets too that I just don't think fit with a bank that we have aspirations to be going forward, and some of those will also, or have been and will be, either closed down or sold off.
Such as?
Well, we've just sold a product set inside our markets business. We've sold it off to another bank that was to do with structured financial products at a retail level. I just didn't see that as something that we would be selling through our customer franchises. That business is gone, and we've got others as well of that sort of nature.
Keith is in Wanstead. You're through to Ross McEwan. Go on, Keith.
Good morning.
Morning, Keith.
I'd like to ask Ross on the comment in the Times that says a yes vote would spark a run on Scotland's banks.
This is a yes vote for Scottish independence, you're saying, Keith? All right, over to you, Mr. McEwan.
Look, the one thing I think we need to understand about the Scottish vote, first off, I've taken a very clear position on this, that we're not going to get involved in the politics of this. People should make their decision, and it's up to the Scottish. Yes or no, it's up to them. What I need to do is make sure that the bank is there the day before, the day of, and the day after. And I think we should all remain very, very calm over this, because the same rules and regulations... I have a personal view that I'm not going to put on the radio because it's up to the Scots, and I'm not a Scotsman, and I don't have the right to vote. You must have been
once with a name like McEwan, if you go far enough back.
Yes, I think so, probably 500 years ago, Nick, when we got thrown out of Scotland. But I think it's really important that everybody remains calm, because there's a large period of time after this that the politicians will sit down and negotiate what happens after a yes vote. Well, and I think that's important.
Some politicians paint a doomsday picture if Scotland votes yes. Do you recognise that?
Look, I recognise that they're painting the picture. The issue will be the public need to actually get around and have good conversations about what's really going to happen afterwards.
So the RBS is pretty sanguine about it. Whichever way it comes, you guys will have to take it on board.
We've let our investors know through our annual report what we think we need to be doing and thinking about as we go into it, and we are watching it very carefully, and we're having to do some contingency planning, as any good business would do.
Earlier this week, Chancellor George Osborne, was talking about RBS and suggested intervention had been required earlier. This is a little of what he said.
The Royal Bank of Scotland, which I last year stepped in to restructure, I'm quite open. I wish I had done that 3 years ago.
Was he right?
Look, we've had lots of conversations with Treasury, with the regulators and that, and to be honest, I haven't disagreed with their views. They were my views that I put to the board when I took over the job, that we needed to concentrate this business on the UK as our primary focus and have 75 to 80% of our assets here in the UK.
So he should have acted early, Osborne?
Look, I think, to be honest, I think Stephen Hester did an amazing job of restructuring this business at a time when it was in absolute chaos financially. And, to be fair on Stephen, he did an amazing job. There are very few people who could do what he did. Can I just, for the viewers, just so they understand how big this bank was and the job that had to be done in a 5-year period. It had a balance sheet of £2.2 trillion. It was the biggest bank in the world. It was in 50 countries, employed 170,000 people, and it blew up. And Stephen brought it back to a safe position with over twice the capital it used to have to make sure it was sound, and a balance sheet of £1 trillion. Now, that is a great job. My job is to actually now take it to the next phase of how do we just create a really good customer bank. So it's quite a different job. So, look, that's what I've agreed to do.
In your mind, how many years have you given yourself to perform that job?
Look, I'd still like to be doing this job in another 5 years' time if I've done a great job and we're having the success. I think the public will see, they won't have to wait that long to see a really good bank come out of here.
And how will they see that?
The next 2 to 3 years.
How will they see that? How will they recognise that?
Very, very focused on them as customers, focused on their needs, not on our needs, so that when they're having the reviews with our people, it's about them, it's not about us. They'll see different things from a retail bank perspective of how our systems will be working well. They'll be able to do things themselves. They'll have good people advising them on things like mortgages and investment advice. We'll have really good business bankers. These are great people we've got in our business.
How's the British economy?
It's starting to improve. It's actually quite good. You saw growth of 3%, which we haven't seen for, 5, 6, 7 years. So it's starting to move quite nicely, and it's starting to spread also out of London. I was up in Leeds week before last. That's starting to grow. You're seeing Birmingham starting to grow again. You're seeing Scotland with growth again. So it's starting to get out of the main London centre and starting to spread out.
When do you anticipate the Bank of England might change the interest rates?
Look, I have no idea. Mark Carney is the man that's going to be actually making that call. I think you'll see it when we continue to see some more growth and the unemployment rates coming down.
This calendar year?
It's probably going to be in the next 6 months is my bet.
The next 6 months?
Yeah, but it's really up to Mark to make that call. But as the economy keeps growing, interest rates will have to start to move slowly, I think very slowly, so that we don't end up with major bubbles again.
Let's take one more call. Tony's in East Finchley. Tony, you're on the radio. Go ahead. Tony, go ahead.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead. Your question.
Yeah, it seems relatively trivial, but I've noticed a steady decline in service from the RBS, and it really made my blood boil when I heard Ms McEwan talking about improving customer service and putting the customer first. Just to give you an example, the worst problem was when I typed in one digit wrong on an online transfer, and the money went into a different account, and the RBS, not only would they not recover the money, I found out from someone else that it actually had gone into a loan account. This was £740. And
Tony,
the point is that
send
no
me
one's
that one,
gonna pay.
Tony.
Okay, so I made an online transfer.
I think, and he does, the boss does want to know about it. It's a little unfair to expect him to comment when it's the first he's heard, but Tony, stay on the line. One of my team will talk and take your details. We will pass them on to one of Mr. McEwan's team as we sort of come full cycle. This is about the customer support, the customer service that you started off. You want people to go or exit your banks as happy as they can be.
Well, not exit, leaving the bank.
No, but having done a transaction.
and being very comfortable doing more business with us because they trust us to do the right thing. And again, we're building it. We've got great people, and we just need to make sure we're supporting them.
And just lastly, the Competition and Markets Authority, you're aware of this, I know, Mr. McEwan, has recommended a full competition inquiry into banks. The provisional decision recommends an inquiry into the banking sector, including the provision of current accounts and business lending. You and the other 4 big high street banks provide nearly 80% of current accounts. Are you ready? You happy for an inquiry?
Oh, look, I think it'd be good to have the inquiry so we can see if there's anything else we should be doing and thinking about from an industry perspective. I welcome it. Let's get on with it. Because as soon as we get on, let's take the uncertainty out of the marketplace as well. I think that's what holds markets back.
So do we put a date in our diary? Would you give you another 6 months and you'll come and see us again? I've got an absolutely full switchboard. Everybody wants to talk to the boss of the bank. So can we see roughly 6 months again, something like that?
Could we do a slightly longer than that so it gives me a bit of time to start turning this around?
Well, you want 7 months?
8.
All right. Sometime between 6 and 12. How about that?
That'd be excellent. Thank you very much.
I should be in banking. I've got a deal between 6 and 12. Buy, sell. Ross McEwan, the Chief Executive of RBS, shall return. Mr. McEwan, good luck with what you've got to do.
Thank you very much.
Because my listeners are, in many cases, are your customers. 9:33, here's the news on LBC.
Malaysia's Transport Minister says it would be an outrage against human decency if a plane which crashed in Ukraine was shot down. All 298 people on board were killed, including 9 British nationals. Russian rebels and the Ukrainian military are both denying responsibility.